Hey, what's going on there, guys? I'm back here today with another deck for you. Today we're going to be taking a look at a standard deck, and it's black-white human aristocrats. Now, this is a interesting take on aristocrats because the typical aristocrats builds that you see out now are going to be three-colored, and they're going to either be junk or Dega. Junk is the inclusion of green on top of white and black, and Dega is the inclusion of red. So we slimmed it down here. We're only running two colors. It makes things a lot more straightforward and to the point. We don't try to play around with cute cards and other colors and go for that third color. It makes us a little bit more consistent as well because we're not running that third color as well. But ultimately, it's a really fun deck. It's somewhat tribal based. We do have a human theme going on here. However, we do have some non-human creatures as well that are efficient in this type of a build as well. So ultimately, we're going to take a look at everything we have here. But before we get to that, if you guys have any suggestions for decks that you would like to see, please leave them down in the comments below, and I'll take it into consideration for future deck techs. And also check out the playlist in the description below where I have all the previous decks that I've covered on the channel, including modern decks and budget decks, and also I have a playlist for gameplays that I've been doing with some of the decks that I've covered on the channel. So check that out. It's all in the description below. So we're going to run through this deck here and take a look at it. The first section is all the creatures that we have. So the first creature we have is Champion of the Parish, and he plays off of our human theme. He's a 1/1 for 1 white, and with every human that we play and that enters the battlefield under our control, he's going to get bigger. For each one, he gets a +1/+1 counter. Plays off of all the humans that we have and all the human spells that we have interacting and coming in. But it also plays off of Gather the Townsfolk, which creates two 1/1 human tokens for us as well. So effectively, we can make Champion of the Parish really big, really quick. We have a playset of Doom Traveler, so again, another 1/1 for 1 white. And whenever he dies, we put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So it's just another easy way where you get to recycle a creature and also have another creature come about after our Doom Traveler dies. And that can also play into any morbid triggers that we have going on, any sacks that we need to make. But ultimately, just being able to recycle with the Doom Traveler is nice, and it's another easy one-drop that we have for the deck, and it can bash in the early turns if nothing else. We have a playset of Cartel Aristocrat, which is one of the centerpieces for the Aristocrats builds. It's one of the Aristocrats. It's a 2/2 for 1 white and 1 black, and we sack another creature, and it gets protection from the color of our choice until the end of the turn. So we can play it around the different morbid stuff that we have going on, the different morbid abilities. We can also give it protection to have it block or have it swing in and not be blocked by other creatures. And ultimately, there are just a lot of different implications with the Cartel Aristocrat. It really just ends up in what matchup you're in and the different things that your opponent has and what they can answer your creatures with. But one of the biggest things is that Cartel Aristocrat is really rigid, and it can get around a lot of targeted removal just by you sacking creatures. We have 3 Blood Artists. Originally, I didn't even want to have it in this build, but then I just kind of went more deep into just that traditional Aristocrats type of build where we're sacking things, things are dying, and we want to kind of interact with that, and we want to drain our opponent of some life and gain back some life. So he's a 0/1 for 2, and whenever the Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and we gain 1 life, so we can play off of all of our little sack outlets there. I have 2 Skirsdag High Priest, so 1/2 for 2 mana with Morbid, and we tap 2 untapped creatures that we control, and we put a 5/5 creature token with flying onto the battlefield. So having a 5/5 is just really huge. Of course, Morbid's going to have to occur. We're going to have to like sack something or chump block one of our opponent's creatures, but being able to just throw out 5/5 flying creatures essentially every turn or almost every turn that we have the Skirsdag High Priest out there is pretty awesome, and it puts pressure on the board, absolutely. Then we have a playset of the Necromancer, so Xathrid Necromancer. He's the new addition from M14. He's a 2/2 for 3, and whenever the Necromancer or another human creature you control dies, put a 2/2 black zombie tapped onto the battlefield. So the 2/2s are going to be really nice because we do have that human theme going on for us in this deck. And ultimately, whether your opponent's trying to use like a Wrath ability to get rid of our creatures, or whether we're just going and forcing our creatures to die on their own, we're still getting tokens out of it. And the Necromancer is probably like one of the most powerful creatures that we have in here, just being able to make every human creature we have in the deck really efficient with it dying. Moving away from our creatures and into our other spells, we have a playset of Tragic Slip, which plays around the Morbid that we have going on, plays around all of our sack outlets, like most of the deck. With Morbid, the creature that we target with it is going to get -13 until the end of the turn. The just regular part of the ability, the standard part of the ability, is that you pay 1 black and the target creature is going to get -1/-1, which works. It works up against any like really early aggro. If our opponent plays like a turn 1 play that we need to get rid of, we can just respond with Tragic Slip on our turn 1 if we have the black mana open. So ultimately, it's good for like early game, even if we don't have Morbid going on for us. But with Morbid, it just makes for a nice removal spell to have, to be able to just essentially get rid of a lot of things. We have the playset of Gather the Townsfolk, which plays into our Champion of the Parish. It's also going to play into the Necromancer as well, because that's another creature that's going to be able to die. It's another human, and if it dies, we get 2/2s out of it. So ultimately, it's just a nice little token outlet for us. It's a token producer. Makes 2 1/1 white humans onto the battlefield, and with Faithful Hour, if we have 5 or less life, we are going to put 5 of those tokens onto the battlefield instead, so may or may not be relevant. We have a playset of Lingering Souls, which doesn't have any kind of synergy with humans or any of that kind of a theme in this deck, but ultimately it's just another token producer, and it just gives us a little bit more fuel. So we put 2 1/1 white flying spirits onto the battlefield, and it has a flashback for 2 as well. We have 1 Intangible Virtue, which is going to play off of all of the tokens that we have. I only have it as a 1 of. I didn't want to really commit to Intangible Virtue way too much, but it definitely does play off of the tokens that we do have. Gives them +1/+1, gives them Vigilance as well, so it's going to give us synergy with Necromancer, Skirsdag High Priest, and obviously it's going to play off of Lingering Souls and Gather the Townsfolk and Doom Traveler, and also Sorin as well, because Sorin produces creature tokens for us as well. So the next card that we have is Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, as a 3 of. 3 loyalty, 4 cost. His +1 is going to make 1/1 black vampire tokens with lifelink. -2 is going to give us an emblem where creatures we control get +1/+0, and that's permanent. The emblems do stack as well. And then his -6 is going to allow us to blow up to 3 target creatures and or planeswalkers. Then we get them back from the graveyard. They come in under our play, under our control into play. So the Sorin, Lord of Innistrad, is ultimately really useful. He can either allow us to be a little bit more aggressive, just make more dudes for us that can be used for fuel, and his -6 is just ridiculous, being able to kill off things and then gain back control of them as well. Then for our land base, because we're only running 2 colors, we don't have that ridiculous amount of money just invested in the mana base, but we have a playset of Godless Shrine for our Shock land. We have a playset of Isolated Chapel, just as our other dual land that interacts with our plains, swamps, and also the Godless Shrine itself. We have 2 Vault of the Archangel as our utility land here. Taps for generic mana, and for 4 mana and tap, gives our creatures Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of the turn, where if we have a huge army of creatures, then we can use them to either gain back life or as really good blockers up against what our opponent's trying to do. And then for our land base, we have 7 plains and 6 swamps. So that's our main board for Black-White Human Aristocrats. Now let's jump over and take a look at what we have in the sideboard. So for our sideboard here, the first card that we have is Pithing Needle. Now, Pithing Needle is awesome up against a variety of different decks. Mainly the big things that we're going to be going for with Pithing Needle are going to be to name planeswalkers, things like Liliana, Garruk. We're also going to be able to go ahead and name utility lands like Kessig Wolf Run or Nephalia Drownyard, any of the big things like that that have good activated abilities that aren't mana abilities. Pithing Needle also deals with Aetherling. It's going to allow us to effectively shut down any of the abilities that Aetherling has, so it's pretty nice for that, especially for any decks that are trying to play off of Aetherling as a big win condition, or at least a pseudo win condition for them. We have 2 Duress in the sideboard, so I chose Duress over something like Sync Collector just because Duress also hits planeswalkers as well, which was something that I wanted to do in the control matchups where opponents running things like Architect of Thought or they're running Memory Adept. I just want my opponent to not be able to play off of planeswalkers on top of being able to just pick and choose at other non-creature spells, like instants or sorceries. So we get to take a look at our opponent's hand. We choose a non-creature, non-land card from it, and they have to discard it. We have 2 Paraselene, which is awesome and is intended for the Hexproof matchup. So Bant Hexproof, Selesnya Hexproof, any of the Hexproof variants that you may see. Paraselene is awesome up against them because we get to destroy all enchantments that our opponents have, and we are going to gain 1 life for each enchantment destroyed this way. And without their enchantments, Hexproof is just really not that spectacular. Being able to get rid of things like Unflinching Courage, Spectral Flight, any of the other big things that they have is just going to be nice for us. And gaining back a little bit of life off of it isn't bad at all either. And then we have 2 Devour Flesh, which is going to be going alongside for the Hexproof matchup as well. So it's going to force target player to sack a creature, and then they gain life equal to the creature's toughness, which isn't that much. I would actually rather have it that my opponent gains life rather than like me losing life for the creature that is sacked that way or something like that. But Devour Flesh just forces them to sack something, so if they go and play like Geist of Saint Traft and they don't have a mana dork out there, then we can go ahead and just respond with Devour Flesh and just force them to sack it and gain the 2 life, which totally isn't a problem at all. But Devour Flesh just allows us to have a outlet of removal for creatures that we can't necessarily hit with traditional removal. In terms of traditional removal, however, we do have 2 Doomblades, so Doomblade is going to be awesome for any matchups that are pretty much just not running black creatures, I would say. We're not going to be siding it in for matchups like Jund just because we don't want to have it in our hand when our opponent plays something like Olivia Voldaren and we don't have a response for it. So Doomblade is going to be played in the Naya matchups, any of the heavy creature matchups. We just side it in and it just destroys target non-black creature for 2 mana. It's pretty perfect for that amount of mana to be able to have hate. We have 2 Lifebane Zombie, which is going to be awesome for the junk matchup. So the Reanimator decks have a nice outlet of being able to interact with Restoration Angel, Thragtusk, and also playing off of Angel of Serenity as well. So Lifebane Zombie has Intimidate. He's a 3/1 for 3, and whenever he enters in, our opponent's going to reveal his or her hand, and we choose a green or white creature from it, and we get to exile it. The Lifebane Zombie is also particularly awesome in matchups where we want to be more aggressive, and the Intimidate actually really does get there. Being able to just get through for 3 damage each turn if the board's kind of locked up is pretty nice. We also have 1 Purify the Grave, so this is for the junk matchup or just anything that has a really good interaction with its graveyard, any like Solar Flare decks or anything like that. We can side in Purify the Grave and we can exile cards from our opponent's grave, so 1 white and exile target card from a grave. If they go to interact with Unburial Rites, they target with Unburial Rites and we just get rid of the target. It also has a flashback for 1 white as well, which isn't bad, so we get 2 uses out of it. I have 1 Intangible Virtue, so one in the main, 1 in the sideboard. This is whenever we want to get a little bit more aggressive or have our tokens just be slightly bigger than the creatures that our opponents have. So creature tokens get another +1/+1 buff, and they have Vigilance. If we can stack 2 Intangible Virtues, definitely awesome. If we can stack Intangible Virtue with a Sorin emblem or something like that, then even better. But Intangible Virtue is just there when we want to be more aggressive. And we have 2 Blood Baron of Vizkopa. So Blood Baron is 5 mana. He's by far the most expensive thing that we have in this deck in terms of mana cost. But he's a 4/4 for 5. He has lifelink and protection from white and black. And as long as we have 30 or more life and our opponent's at 10 or less, he gets +6/+6 and has flying. So Blood Baron is here because of Jund. None of the black removal that they have is going to be able to target Blood Baron, which is awesome. Blood Baron can't be targeted by things like Detention Sphere, also anything like Oblivion Ring, Azorius Charm. So Blood Baron's ultimately good up against like Control. It's good up against mid-range, just anything with like a huge outlet of like black or white creatures or black or white removal spells, or almost dedicated to just those colors. The Blood Baron's going to be nice to be able to side it in. So that is the sideboard, and that is our deck tech for Black-White Human Aristocrats. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to thumbs up this video and subscribe to the channel for more deck techs and Magic the Gathering related videos. The entire deck list is down below where you guys can use it as a reference and check it out. And also be sure to check out the playlists in the description where I have all the previous decks that I've covered, including gameplays as well. I have gameplays down in the description as well that you guys can check out and browse through. So until next time, guys, have yourselves a wonderful, fun-filled Magic the Gathering day.